But then what about plants? It's like, does it kill a plant to eat a plant? I think hunting is pretty ideal. It's like you're out in the world and to survive, you kill the things
But
that you
you
can
don't
eat.
need to survive though.
Hi, can I answer one?
Yeah. So I have to let you know that it might be challenging at times. It's like a social experiment.
Sure.
All right. So the first question is, what do you think about forced child labor?
Forced child labor?
Yeah.
I think that is bad. I mean, who could ever say something is good about that?
Well,
Right?
okay. Yeah, it's gonna be very obvious questions, but I'm going somewhere with them. All right.
Right.
So bear with me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So what is wrong about it?
Well, I think not in all cases is it wrong. Like some children probably maybe work for their parents, and that's a good thing. They learn some harsh truths about the world at a young age, at a right pace, and that's maybe a good thing. But in other cases, children deserve to play and have like what it means to be a child, and work is not exactly right for children. It's just you don't get to do things like play, and there's a lot to it. But I don't know. I just feel like I can't articulate it exactly, but bad to work children. All right, next question.
But would you say also that it's a little bit different for children because they're more vulnerable than us? So if they work for us, especially adults, we might be taking advantage of them?
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. What do you think about slavery?
Slavery? Probably bad again.
What about it makes it wrong?
I mean, you're not getting paid. You're literally chained to a task instead of being free to choose the things that you want to do. For work, it's not a fair trade of like time and energy for money. It's forced, and that's just wrong.
Would you say that it's also wrong to own someone else as property?
Yes, I would.
So I have a scenario for you. A woman is passed out drunk and passed out in an Uber. The Uber driver fondles her, and she's not going to feel anything, and she's not going to remember anything. What do you think about that?
I think definitely wrong. Wrong.
Why is that?
Why is that? Jeez. I think sexual interactions should be mutually agreed upon, and if somebody is drunk and passed out, they aren't able to give even nonverbal approval of the interaction. So that is wrong.
Unconscious.
Yes, unconscious, right.
Yeah. So that means even if she's not suffering, right?
True.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you think veganism is?
Veganism? I think veganism is the adherence to the philosophical eating thing where you don't eat anything that is made from an animal. You don't drink any milk, you don't have any goat cheese, you don't eat any meat of any kind.
All right. So the reason why I put you through all these answers and questions is because the answers really explain really well the principle of veganism.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that it's just a diet, but really it's the stance against animal use and exploitation. That means all use and exploitation.
Mm-hmm.
So the answers you gave, about like how it's wrong to own someone else and to use them as a commodity, or like to not respect their body sovereignty, for example. These are all reasons why vegans are vegan.
Mm-hmm.
What would prevent you from living vegan, meaning opposing animal exploitation and use?
Well, by eating meat, I'm not exploiting animals. Hopefully I'm not. Ideally, it would be hunting, in my opinion. You go out into the woods and you kill you kill an animal who's old and led a great life. And I think there's a harsh truth to the fact that we sometimes need meat. I think some people's nutritional needs demand meat.
So, that's very interesting point that you said that it's not exploitation. Really what exploitation means is using someone else for your own benefit, taking advantage of them in a way that is not consensual, meaning they don't want to be used, right?
Yeah.
So that encompasses hunting, for example, all this stuff you're using their body against their will, all this stuff like this, right?
Right.
And when it comes to the health concern, like I hear a lot of concern around that.
Uh-huh.
The fully plant-based diet is not a diet that a lot of people know about too much. It's not super common, but there's this organization that's called the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and they've stated that a fully plant-based diet that is well-planned, of course, like all diets should be, is suitable for all ages, pregnant women, athletes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, apart from that, what else would prevent you?
I think it is inconvenient. I think it's inconvenient. Yeah, I think for me it's inconvenient, but also for thinking about like, ideally, veganism would get rid of the murdering of all animals everywhere. That would be great. Clearly, that seems clear. But it seems also hard.
we're never going to prevent, for example, the accidental killing of animals. Veganism is not really about reducing even death or even about suffering at all. It's about not using animals, not enslaving them, not using them. I'm going to put you on the spot, right?
Fine.
Remember when we talked about slavery? It was the norm, right? It was convenient for a slave owner to own a slave because they didn't have to pay them, for example. They could benefit greatly from them, right?
Yeah.
Does that matter as much as the slave being enslaved?
Well, I think I feel comfortable if I eat a cow that has led a happy life on a farm. That's the whole story of grass-fed animals in my head. It's that they're leading a healthy, reasonably long life, and when it comes down to it, I think I'm just okay with killing animals. Is my take? Is that I'm just okay with that.
But do you think that the slave owners weren't okay with owning slaves?
I bet some of them felt conflicted. Yes,
Does
but
that matter if they feel okay about it or not? Or does the
I
slave
think it
being
definitely
enslaved?
matters. Yeah.
Does it matter more than the slave being enslaved?
Does it matter?
Does it make it okay to enslave someone? To be okay about it? Because you're okay about
Oh.
enslaving them.
Does it make it okay to own a slave if you feel okay about it? That's a deep question.
Is it?
I think it's a very deep question, yeah.
Would you accept a slave owner saying that it's okay for them to enslave someone else because they feel okay that they're enslaving that person?
Right, no, I wouldn't. For sure not. But I don't know. I feel okay with eating a cow that has led a happy life, and like, I don't know. It's brutal, but maybe it's just fine. It's like, it does draw to my mind, what does it mean to be moral to the highest degree? It's like,
Well, to me, it's not even about morality. It's not like a conceptual thing. It's like, is it okay for that victim, you know? Like, it's like slavery, being anti-slavery is not like being moral. You know, it's like the basic decency. You know what I
oh,
mean?
for sure, yeah, for sure.
And also what you said was something that I hear a lot of people, you know, a lot of people care about animal cruelty, right? The thing is, that's why I gave you the scenario with the woman who is assaulted when she's unconscious. Because we said, like, it doesn't matter even if she feels anything because she's being used by someone else. You know, and there's no body sovereignty there. You know, that's why it's not really okay to enslave anyone, you know?
Definitely, for sure, yeah. And easy questions to not put up a fight against, for sure. Yeah. The one thing I'm stumped on is whether or not something is wrong if you feel okay about it. That's a hard one for me.
But murderers don't necessarily feel not okay about murdering someone else, for example. Or a rapist might not feel anything about raping someone.
Right.
That doesn't really matter, right? What the person doing the act feels about it, if it's got a victim, right?
It's true, but right. So then, this is what I'm wondering, like, a lion will kill another animal, and nobody bats an eye at that. Humanity is called upon to be, like, more high up, like, you know what I'm saying, like, more moral. It's a call to morality. It's like, we don't say the lion's done something wrong. We say humans have done something wrong because for some reason we think that we are in a more conscious state so that we can choose to not kill. Like, if we have the option, let's choose to not kill something.
We have the option, that's the difference.
But some people might say that they don't. Like, nutritionally, some people can't go without meat, from what I've heard.
Well, that's the point. The reason why we have these meta-analyses and stuff like this is because we have anecdotes on both sides. Right? We have a lot of people saying they're very healthy on a fully plant-based diet, and we have people saying that they're not, even if they might not have identified exactly why they feel a certain way, you know, because it can be diet, it can be many other things, and you can have a fully plant-based diet that's healthy or unhealthy, like any diet, you know? So this stance is really like based on many studies that are really like, I mean, they are pretty solid studies because they're meta-analysis and stuff like this. So, you know, that's why at some point you got to look at the rank of evidence and look at the studies that are the most highly ranked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you were talking about predators and stuff like that. Yeah, we were talking about how they don't really have a choice, and we do, right? We don't have to do it. But also, we don't necessarily look at other animals eating their own babies and say, well, that's okay, so we don't have to protect babies, you know? Or like, they will obviously prey on the weak, even in their own species. And we say, well, that's not okay because we can empathize with the vulnerable humans, right? That we wouldn't want that done to us. We see that that's wrong because of the subjective experience of that person, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, what is the definition of evil? Is that at play here? Do you think?
Well, you just gotta look at why is it wrong to own someone else, and then why is it different for another animal that's sentient? It's almost not like a whole philosophical thing. It's very straightforward. You have the option not to enslave someone.
But then what about plants? It's like, does it kill a plant to eat a plant?
What would you say is the difference between a plant and an animal? Because we're animals as well, remember?
Well, yeah, but we clearly know that trees species want to thrive. Trees don't want to die.
Yeah.
So they have a call to live, just like everything else.
They're not sentient though.
But in a way that doesn't matter. They have a goal, and we're interfering with their goal, which is life. It's clearly their goal is to live and thrive. And if they die, if they're eaten or used for lumber, they're not going to be able to do that.
Well, fruits, for example, they want to be eaten, for example, but that's like a different type.
But trees don't.
Yeah, no, of course.
Trees just don't. And so some things are symbiotic, like that fruit example, for sure. That's beautiful. But the tree thing, that's not symbiotic. So what I'm struggling with is like necessary evil. It's not even evil, but necessary actions. It's like, is it necessary to cut down a tree? Some would say yes. Some others might say no.
Keep it in mind that we're not even talking about like being, for example, sustainable or anything like that. But even if you're going to have to survive, right? You have to eat something. You have to have shelter. For example, vegans are not opposed to building a house, and in the process, you are hurting insects or you're displacing other animals, because this is not using them. This is not enslavement. It's like, oh well, it's competition for survival, but like you got in the way kind of thing. Of course, it's better if we can find ways to reduce that. Of course, that is obviously a great thing, like sustainability, for example. But this is not really what veganism is about. You know what I mean?
I understand.
And so the plant thing, the reason why we don't consider plants interest is because they're not sentient, meaning they don't have emotions, they don't have the capacity to feel pain. It's like, comparing the experience of a vegetable to a human, really, because we're all animals as well,
Yeah.
So when you think about it, because people don't remember necessarily, we don't tell ourselves we're animals, right? We don't really remember ourselves like this, but we are, right? So when you compare the experience of a plant and a human or another animal, you can see clearly how, it's a very different experience.
Yeah. There is a very different thing about it. But I don't know. It's like you wouldn't kill a human, but that's in a way different from killing a cow. It's like you.
What about it?
Well, in the same way that plants are different from humans, I think it's not that dissimilar of an argument to say that humans are just different from cows and humans are just different from trees.
What is it that makes it different between cows and humans? That makes it okay to enslave a cow, but not a human.
Well, I feel like I want humanity to continue, and I don't know why I do, but I do. And I don't know why, but it's just such a simple act in me that I want to put more humans into the world. I want humans to thrive. I think if you're going to say that plants are different from humans in sentience, yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that.
But it's a consensus. It's scientific consensus that they are.
True, but and so maybe we don't have to focus on the sentience about it, but we know that trees want to live.
No, we know that, but the sentience is that's the only reason why we separate them,
Okay.
Because we recognize that they're alive, but that is the reason why we draw the line,
In the sentience is the thing that crosses it over into being. Yeah, I don't know. That seems more muddy to me.
But what is the trade between a cow? Because we know the trade between the plants and animals that makes it okay to use a plant, which is sentience. But what is the trade that makes it okay to enslave another animal, but not okay to enslave a human?
Well, I wouldn't say it's great to enslave an animal. I think hunting is pretty ideal. It's like you're out in the world, and to survive, you kill the things that you can eat.
But you don't need to survive, though.
But this is how we evolved. Hypothetically, that's how we evolved, and that's our morality has also evolved. So I think it makes sense that we eat meat now. I think it makes sense, and if we can eventually go without it, great. But we're not there yet. So
how? We are. We have.
I think it's a huge deal to get meat off of the world. Like off of the
But we're
plate.
not talking about the whole world, right? We're talking about you right now.
True, that's true.
Because it's too overwhelming to look like we can't change others. We can only influence, right? And
Yeah.
we can only choose what we're doing ourselves.
It's true. That's true. Yeah. I have to go. Thank
I
you
just
for
want to
talking.
give you a card.
Great.
Thank you so much. That was really cool that you took the time
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah, it's really cool
Appreciate
you're doing this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody who's watching. I don't know what this is for, but
Yeah. Feel free to contact me on my socials if you have any questions.
cool.
Okay.
Keep it
And-
up.
Yeah, and I
It
just
was
want to say
thought-provoking.
thank you. I just want to say before you go that animals, are also individuals, and they will continue to go through all these things we talked about, like animal slavery, all these things like this, until the day that you do go vegan.